According to South African police crime statistics, 4 women are raped every hour in our country.
But not so long ago, the head of Department of Public Works and Infrastructure in the Eastern Cape, Thandolwethu Manda, was placed on indefinite leave after it emerged that he has been using his position as an HOD to elicit sexual favors and in some instances rape young interns in the department.
By the time this debate is finished, 8 more women will have suffered from this horrific crime. While we are sitting here debating, multiple women out there are currently becoming victims of GBV and rape as we speak.
53,285 reported cases of sexual assault in this country. We also know that 42,569 of those were rape.
That is both terrifying and totally unacceptable.
One detective is on standby every time after 4 and weekends to deal with no less than 5 police stations, and that is more than 1 million people in population. Yet, you say you are serving the people.
In the 2023-2024 second quarter crime stats, the police recorded 10,516 rapes, as well as 1,514 cases of attempted murder and 14,400 assaults against female victims.
Only to find 5 detectives.
Unfortunately, your time has now expired.
And nothing they can do for women because the state is the one that does not capacitate the police to deal with the cases.
The next speaker is the Honourable Breitenbach.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable House Chair, Honourable Members, we address today a topic that remains one of the most urgent human rights challenges in South Africa and across the world. It is a topic we discuss often in this House, yet the statistics keep on climbing and we appear not to be winning this battle. Despite our apparent best efforts, GBV remains a massive problem and an indictment on all of us. In South Africa, the scourge of GBV is deeply entrenched, affecting the most vulnerable members of society, particularly women and children. However, the problem is far from simple. It is not just about isolated instances of brutality or random acts of aggression. It's a pervasive social epidemic that is intimately tied to the fabric of our culture, our history, and our social structures. To properly begin to combat GBV, we need to understand the complex and multidimensional nature of gender-based violence in South Africa. We need to honestly explore the causes and manifestations of this violence, the impact it has on individuals and society, and most importantly, the cultural enablers that perpetuate it. By understanding these underpinnings, we can better navigate the path towards meaningful change and work together to create a society where gender-based violence is not only not tolerated, but actively eradicated. GBV refers to violence that is directed against individuals based on their gender. While men can be, and often are, also victims of GBV, women, girls, and gender minorities are disproportionately affected. GBV includes physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse, and it often manifests in intimate partner violence, domestic violence, rape, sexual harassment, and even harmful traditional practices. In South Africa, the statistics surrounding GBV are alarming. The country has one of the highest rates of rape and domestic violence in the world. According to South African police crime statistics, 4 women are raped every hour in our country. Let's take a moment to think about that. By the time this debate is finished, 8 more women will have suffered from this horrific crime. While we are sitting here debating, multiple women out there are currently becoming victims of GBV and rape as we speak. That is both terrifying and totally unacceptable. In the 2023-2024 second quarter crime stats, the police recorded 10,516 rapes, as well as 1,514 cases of attempted murder and 14,400 assaults against female victims in a 3-month period. As we know, this is not the full picture, as many such cases are not reported. The consequences of GBV are profound. Survivors face physical, emotional, and psychological trauma that can persist for years. Families and communities are fractured, and the broader societal impact is significant. GBV contributes to a cycle of poverty, economic instability, and social inequality, while also perpetuating gender discrimination and reinforcing of harmful stereotypes. One of the most difficult aspects of addressing GBV in South Africa is the cultural framework that often condones or enables this violence. Such cultural enablers are deeply embedded in societal norms, practices, and beliefs, making them difficult to challenge. They form a part of the social fabric, shaping how we view gender roles, power dynamics, and what constitutes acceptable behavior. Patriarchy and power dynamics play a significant role in the perpetuation of GBV in this country. Patriarchy is a system of societal organization in which men hold primary power, dominate in roles of leadership, and control the economic and political systems. In South Africa, patriarchy is a pervasive force that has shaped not only social structures, but also individual attitudes and behavior. In many South African communities, the patriarchal mindset is so ingrained that it influences the way men and women are expected to behave. Men are often viewed as the head of the household, the providers and the ultimate authority, while women are expected to take on subservient roles, focusing on caregiving and domestic responsibilities. This entrenched power imbalance allows for the normalization of violence against women, especially with intimate relationships. Men are often socialized to view women as property or objects to be controlled. This mindset can lead to violent expressions of power, such as domestic abuse, sexual assault, and femicide. Violence becomes a tool to assert dominance and punish perceived disobedience and reinforce control. In some marginalized communities, individuals, but especially men, may see violence as a way to resolve conflict or assert authority. Children growing up in homes where violence is common internalize these behaviors, learning that violence is an acceptable way of coping with frustration, anger, or jealousy. This creates a generational cycle of abuse where the children of abusive parents become abusers themselves. The state plays a critical role in either enabling or combating GBV. In South Africa, the state's response to GBV has been widely criticized for its inefficiency and lack of adequate support for survivors. Law enforcement agencies are often ill-equipped to deal with the complexities of gender-based violence. And there are too many instances where survivors of violence face indifference or hostility from police officers. The judicial system struggles to address the issue effectively. Many survivors of GBV do not trust the court to deliver justice, particularly when the perpetrator is a well-known community member or a family member. Victims may be subjected to lengthy delays, insensitive treatment, or victim-blaming attitudes during legal proceedings. In addition, the lack of resources for survivors, such as shelter, mental health care, and financial assistance, means that many victims are forced to return to dangerous environments. This lack of institutional support, coupled with cultural attitudes that blame the victim, only serve to perpetuate the cycle of violence. If we are to successfully combat GBV in our country, a fundamental shift in attitudes is necessary. This requires a change in how we view gender, power, and violence. We need to dismantle the deeply entrenched patriarchal systems that perpetuate abuse and work towards building a society where all individuals, regardless of gender, can live without fear of violence. This requires engaging principally men and boys in the conversation about gender, power, and violence. By encouraging men to embrace positive forms of masculinity, we can begin to shift the narrative away from dominance and control and towards respect, empathy, and equality. While changing attitudes is a long-term process, immediate action can be taken through strengthening legal protection and support systems for survivors. The state must hold perpetrators of GBV accountable, and victims must feel safe and supported in reporting incidents of abuse. This means creating a justice system that is responsive, compassionate, and free of bias. Education at all levels, beginning in schools, is essential to challenge harmful gender stereotypes and teach young people about healthy relationships, consent, and respect. Through education, we can break the cycle of violence and build a culture of respect and equality. We must remember that ending GBV is not just the responsibility of government or the organizations fighting for women's rights. It is the responsibility of all of us, all men, women, young and old, in every community, in every corner of this country. We have a role to play in creating a future where GBV is a thing of the past and where all individuals can live free from fear and harm in a culture of mutual respect. I thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Mainten Kuna.
Masbulele, House Chair. Year after year, we flash statistics, and the ruling elite makes hollow commitments to the fight against embedded violence against women in this country. Yes, despite the commitments, there's nothing concrete. Nothing. There's no hope for the women and children of this country. All the cases the minister was mentioning here, they could have been avoided. Ucinga fan baba bantu bebeza kufikelwa ngamapolisa ngexesha uba bebewabizile ebengazufika. Ucinga fan ba zonke ezi cases zabantu abaziwayo njengakanamhla kungakabanjwa umuntu namhlanje iluncedo ngantoni into enjalo. But not so long ago, the head of Department of Public Works and Infrastructure in the Eastern Cape, Thandolwethu Manda, was placed on indefinite leave after it emerged that he has been using his position as an HOD to elicit sexual favors and in some instances rape young interns in the department. The fact that he is not suspended or dismissed tells us a lot about the nature of the administration of the Eastern Cape and its attitude towards women. Not that the minister doesn't know that, she doesn't mention it. We know that there have been numerous cases of sex and reports of sexual violence for jobs in the Eastern Cape. But the government wethu uzivulile indlebe uzivalile, because these are men and monsters that hold the power at the highest echelons. We are here as women to protect such monsters. You are here as women to say absolutely nothing in defense of those selfless women who are looking for nothing but umsebenzi. But thina silapha singabafazi be-EFF to defend and protect the dignity and the integrity of those women who are looking for jobs because urhulumente wethu akacreate nalo misebenzi. But ke siyayazi sinayo imithetho besiyipasisile kule ndlu, but izawusinceda ngantoni lo mithetho xa kungekho urhulumente uzimisele ukuimplementa lo mithetho. Siyayazi ngoku ngokwestatistics ukubana ngaba ngaphezulu kwe-53,285 reported cases of sexual assault in this country. We also know that 42,569 of those were rape. But naku kwenzeka, Minister, inyaniso is that wena nohulumente wakho we-GNU are the biggest enablers of violence against women in this country. This is because we were lied to in this parliament many a times that there are GBV cases in police stations. Go to any nearest police station and see if you're going to find a GBV desk anywhere. We were lied to and told that FCS has capacity to deal with cases. It does not. One detective is on standby every time after 4 and weekends to deal with no less than 5 police stations, and that is more than 1 million people in population. Yet, you say you are serving the people. Let me give you a story. Nobuhle was a Blue Combos. Unobuhle was raped by a monster in the after hours of the day. One detective that was available from the Milner team, FCS, could not attend to the case because why a busy case as Atlantis, one, he can't double himself. Number 2, when Unobuhle wakes up to go to with the detective to the rape care center, we have figured rape care center, doctor was a rape care center, you didn't make an appointment, therefore I can't see you. Unobuhle had to sit with the disgusting smell of her perpetrator for 2 days because there was one detective on duty that could take over her case. The doctor at the victim center could not attend to her. What option does she have? she has to go back to the perpetrator that ultimately killed her. What do you say about that? Today, change how you say things and how you do things.
Honourable Member.
During the constituency period, we went to Milnerton FCS only to find
Honourable
5
Member,
detectives.
unfortunately, your
five
time has
police
now
stations,
expired.
And nothing they can do for women because the state is the one that does not
Honourable
capacitate
Mente.
the police to deal with the cases.
Thank you, Honourable Mente.